Let me ask you a question. How many times have you delayed starting something because you felt you weren't ready? Think back to all the ideas, dreams, or goals you've had, only to push them aside because you didn't have all the answers, the perfect plan, or the right skills. We all do this at some point, and it's completely natural. But here's the twist. Waiting until you feel ready can sometimes be the very thing holding you back. Today, we're going to talk about the power of starting before you know how, but taking action even when you don't feel fully prepared. It's counterintuitive, right? We've been taught to plan, to prepare, and to only act when the conditions are perfect. But life rarely offers us perfection. Often, it offers us opportunities disguised as uncertainty. Let's be honest. Most of us wait for a magical moment when we'll feel 100% ready, confident, and knowledgeable before we take the leap. But the truth is, that moment rarely comes. How many times have you convinced yourself, I'll start when I'm more experienced, or I'll wait until I learn a bit more? The problem is that by waiting, we lose valuable time, and worse, we start to believe that perfection is a prerequisite for action. Think about some of the greatest achievers in history. Do you think they waited until they had all the answers before they took action? Did Steve Jobs know everything about building a company when he started Apple? Did Oprah Winfrey have all the tools for success laid out for her at the beginning of her career? No, they didn't. They started without knowing exactly how to do it, and they learned along the way. Here's where things get interesting. Action itself is often the key to learning. You don't have to wait to become an expert before you begin. In fact, you become an expert by starting. Every step you take teaches you something new. Every mistake you make becomes a lesson in disguise. So, why wait for a future that may never feel perfect? Why not dive in, knowing that the path itself will teach you everything you need to know? Let me ask you, what is one thing you've been putting off because you didn't feel ready? Maybe it's a new career, a creative project, or learning a new skill. What would happen if you just started today, even with the uncertainty? What's the worst that could happen? And more importantly, what's the best that could happen? Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I fail? It's a common fear. But let's flip that question on its head. What if you succeed? What if taking that first step leads you to a place you could have never imagined? Failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. When you take action, you're moving forward, even if you stumble along the way. Consider this. When you were a child learning to walk, did you wait until you had the perfect balance and understanding of gravity before taking your first step? Of course not. You just started, fell, got back up, and tried again. You learned by doing, not by waiting. And that's the mindset we need to recapture. Here's another truth. You don't need to know every step of the journey before you begin. If you wait until you have the full map, you might never take the first step. The process of learning as you go is one of the most effective ways to grow. In fact, the challenges you face on the journey are what shape you into the person you need to become to succeed. So, here's a thought-provoking question. What's one thing you could start today, knowing that you'll learn as you go? What if you embraced the uncertainty and saw it not as a barrier, but as an opportunity for growth? When you start before you know how, you're trusting the process. You're acknowledging that the journey might be messy, unpredictable, and even frustrating at times. But you're also embracing the reality that it's through the process that you become better, stronger, and more capable. Let's take another example. Imagine you want to write a book. You have the idea, but the thought of writing hundreds of pages feels overwhelming. You don't know where to start, and the more you think about it, the more paralyzed you feel. But what if, instead of waiting for the perfect outline or the perfect first sentence, you just started writing? What if you trusted that through the act of writing, the structure and flow would reveal themselves to you? That's the magic of starting before you know how. It allows you to move forward even when you're not sure where the path will lead. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Certainty is a myth. We can plan all we want, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. The reality is, nothing is ever guaranteed, and waiting for certainty often leads to missed opportunities. The people who achieve great things aren't necessarily the ones who had all the answers from the start. They're the ones who were willing to take a leap, even when they didn't have all the information. So, why are we so afraid to start without knowing the outcome? Could it be that we've been conditioned to believe that success is only for those who have it all figured out? What if we rewrote that narrative and embraced the idea that success is for those who are willing to take action, even in the face of uncertainty? Here's the secret. Confidence doesn't come from knowing how to do something. It comes from doing it. The more you take action, the more confident you become in your ability to figure things out along the way. Each small step builds momentum, and before you know it, you've made more progress than you ever thought possible. So, I challenge you. What's one thing you can start today, even if you don't feel fully ready? Take that first step, no matter how small. Trust that the path will reveal itself as you move forward. Taking that first step, even without knowing exactly how everything will unfold, is the most empowering decision you can make. It's a declaration to yourself and the universe that you're ready to evolve, to learn, and to embrace the unknown. Each step you take, no matter how uncertain, builds a foundation for the next. You'll find that the more you move forward, the more doors open, often in ways you never anticipated. This isn't just about achieving goals. It's about becoming the kind of person who grows through action. Think of your journey as a blank canvas. You don't have to see the full picture to make the first brushstroke. Starting before you know how isn't just about being productive. It's about trusting in your capacity to adapt, to create, and to thrive. Life is not a script waiting to be memorized. It's a living, breathing process, waiting for your active participation. So, why wait? Start now, and let your journey be the masterpiece you create along the way. In the end, the question isn't whether you should start before you know. How the question is, can you afford not to? Life is too short to wait for perfection. The world is full of opportunities waiting for those who are brave enough to take the first step, even when they don't have all the answers. If this message resonates with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And in the comments, I want you to write this phrase: I'm starting now. Let's take action together and see where the journey takes us.